Going pretty good. I hope you're able to relax today, at least some of the time. Enjoy family, maybe friends. It's Sunday. It's supposed to be a day of rest. Is it always a day of rest? No, but today for me was a mixture of being on duty down at our spiritual center for a while and then, kind of relaxing. So, more to the point, what is our reading for today? It's called We Are the Vessels. We Are the Vessels, which is kind of ironic because some of my relatives, well, closest relatives, are called Vessel. So there you are. But we are the Dewhurst and they are the Vessels. There you go. The first quote is from Alice Walker, who says, "The most common way that people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any." The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. And Ernest Holmes in This Thing Called Life says, "The greater your consciousness of being, the more automatically will the law flow from this consciousness into the acquisition of the things you desire." The greater your consciousness of being, the more automatically will the law flow from this consciousness into the acquisition of the things you desire. Our senior minister, Reverend Jesse, today was quoting from one of the Gospels, and he was talking about the centurion. The centurion came up to Jesus and asked him to cure his servant, which was kind of unusual in a way because, hey, the centurion was a member of the occupying forces, the Romans, so why should he come and ask Jesus? But he did, because I guess Jesus' reputation was growing. And Jesus tells him that, in effect, his own consciousness is what has healed the servant. He's telling him, what your belief has already healed this person. I didn't do it. It was your belief in him. And that's pretty similar to what we call spiritual mind treatment, where we hold in mind what we want for ourselves or someone else, and then that manifests. So it's kind of interesting. So it's done unto you. So it's often translated as it's done unto you as you believe. But I think Jesus said your belief has made him whole. So there we go. And also from the Bible, this is from the Hebrew Scriptures. It used to be called the Old Testament. It's called the Hebrew Scriptures. It's about the prophet Elisha. A widow burdened by debt after the recent death of her husband, and fearing the looming threat of her sons being taken as collateral, pleaded with the prophet Elisha in despair. "I have no way to pay, and now they are coming to take my sons." Elisha did not respond to her sympathy, nor did he name her misfortune. He simply said, "Tell me what you have." She cried, "A small jar of oil, nothing more." Elisha smiled, not as one who dismisses pain, but as one who sees beyond it. "Then go," he said, "gather and borrow as many empty vessels as you can." With no energy left to resist, she walked through the village, asking neighbors for jars, bowls, and pots. She returned with as many as she could acquire. Then, instructed by Elisha, she tipped the jar of oil. It poured, and it poured, and it poured, filling every acquired vessel. Even then, the oil could have continued flowing. She wept, not because the oil multiplied, but because the illusion of nothingness was broken. And in the space of that miracle, a quiet truth revealed itself. Not one of magic, but of remembrance. You never liked, you only forgot. Like the widow, I too forget, says Reverend David. I forget that I am the vessel, the oil, and the act of pouring. I forget that I'm not separate from the flow. There is no distance between me and my source. The one who gives, the one who receives, and the gift itself are never apart. And you can really interpret this in many different ways. Actually, the affirmation to me sums it up. I shift from the dream of not enough to the waking truth of sufficiency. So it's what we do when we change our focus. If we keep focusing on what we don't want, then the law of mind, source, God, gives us more of that. It gives us what we focus on. And if we focus on the insufficiency, then we get insufficiency. If we focus on sufficiency, then we get sufficiency. If we focus on more than enough, we will get more than enough. And there's nothing wrong with more than enough. But you have to remember one thing. When you have more than enough, then you have the ability to help people who have less than enough. So that's the lesson I get from this today. I shift from the dream of not enough to the waking truth of sufficiency. So, that's our lesson for the day. And I like the Russian proverb that I read for the thought for the day today. There's no shame in not knowing. The shame is in not finding out. There's no shame in not knowing. The shame is in not finding out. And that applies to this as well. There's no shame in not knowing. But once you do realize that you have the ability to find out, you have the ability to manifest, then it's up to you to go ahead and do that. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Everywhere we are, God is, and all is well. And we have within us the sufficiency to produce what we need. And I claim that that is truth for each and every person who watches this. And please check into my colleague, Reverend Lisa Ryan, tomorrow morning at, 9:15 a.m. Central Time. And I will see you tomorrow, hopefully at 5 p.m. Depends on how long my mediation goes on Monday. So, till next time, namaste.